Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're looking at a neutral forest deck. So this is an interesting one at that. I haven't seen many of these kind of neutral decks. This one is more aggressive than the B&B style decks. That's why you don't actually include B&B. I would recommend, instead of running Crystalline, running the I think is it Elf Queen, or I don't know, the one that deals damage to an enemy follower based on how many cards you have. That would probably be better, but this serves the purpose, so if you want to keep a budget, I'd run that. That's basically the reason I am, because it does fit that 6-drop slot, and it does do the clearing, which, same sort of use. So that's quite good. Other than that, you know, your Elf Twin Assault's absolutely crazy, especially when comboed with things like Into the Looking Glass that turns every card in your hand neutral, including spells, so you can really take advantage of that. Along with the other things, Airborne Barrages, Nature Guidance, the Roach, Goblin Mage pulls Roach because there's nothing else for it to pull. Same reason you're running Fina, and then just, you know, pack your hands with cards and deals damage. It's really quite solid. I've had a fair bit of success with this deck in the early stages of this meta, and it's performing quite nicely, so we'll get right into some games. So our first matchup here is Dragon. Dragon is always an iffy class. If they have a really good hand, you're going to get stomped. If they don't, you might be okay. So it's really quite difficult to know exactly what you're going to be doing. So we start off with a pretty good hand. I mean, Sylvian Justice is okay, Goblin Mage is alright, Hector's good. Would have been nice if I did have something else to go earlier, but this will do just fine. And of course, Into the Looking Glass being a pretty core card to this deck. Being able to transform everything into neutral really makes Hector and stuff viable. So, take that damage. We're not too worried about them ramping right now. I'm more concerned with making sure we have plenty of neutrals in our hand. Plus, we should just be able to easily hit face here.
On the warfield, a shining helmet.
Dragon's turn 6. Fire Lizard. Not too big a threat. But when comboed with that, a little bit of pain. Although we do have plenty of things to kind of deal with this here.
On the warfield, a shining helmet. So
we can still throw this 3 damage to face, then take advantage of Airborne Barrage because we did draw Nature's Guidance, which comboed with Roach is probably a little bit easier to use than Airborne Barrage. Plus the value of Hector is just too good. I can't really pass up a chance to replay that again.
Hear the dragon's roar.
So getting the chance to replay this again for more damage is just awesome. Putting them to 9 makes it very likely that Roach is going to easily combo them down. Provided they don't throw out a ward or heal, then we should be okay.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot more where that
And of course, if they did, Dance of Death would easily take out any huge threats.
Ow!
It's going to be sad to lose a lot of these cards, but gotta do what you gotta do. Then we have double fairy, triple fairy into a double roach, which is more than enough to end this game. Not too bad, this deck. I'm really enjoying it actually. Surprising because I don't enjoy most forest decks, but this one in particular is actually really fun. Okay, the second match is against Shadow. Another deck that is reasonably consistent for the most part. But this deck seems to do okay. I mean, it is more aggressive than most other decks, so you can pretty much just continually push. I mean, your harder matchups usually are things like Aggro Blood and probably Sword, where you've really got to push them to win. but this deck can easily swap between, you know, mid kind of control style and easily into the just completely rush your opponent. So I don't know how I would classify this deck other than it just being a neutral deck, but it's definitely enjoyable. I have found pushing out that early game is always important. Especially when you do have Airbound Barrage, having fairies and stuff that you can easily use is always good. And taking advantage of Elf Twin's Assault when you can is always good.
Welcome to the place between life and death.
And of course we have to see that. Different kind of shadow deck at least though. So taking advantage of Fina here. I could have held on to the Goblin, and I really probably should. Using a zero cost Goblin to pull Roach. Always better to use on the turn you plant a Roach. But sometimes you just want to have a board built, especially against something like Shadow, that can be quite aggressive. So taking the chance here is not a bad option, honestly. Undying Resentment, something we can deal with. Of course we draw out other goblins, so that means we do have double Roach, which I am quite fond of. Plus, since we do have Airbound Barrage, why not use one here? We have got Nature's Guidance as well. Airbound Barrage and Nature's Guidance are really quite interchangeable in this deck. Using them with Roach is always going to be good.
Death and life are transient.
And of course, the 6/5. Making me question my reality. That's fine. Fairy Circle gives us a nice draw. And then just, I could have comboed the Into the Looking Glass, which I probably really should have. If I had used Into the Looking Glass and then Elf Twin's Assault, I wouldn't have had to use Sylvian Justice. Although Sylvian does work really well with fairies, so it might be a worthwhile trade-off. And of course, Test of Strength, limiting what I can do. But we can just take advantage of that, get a little bit of damage in, hold on to our cards, and wait till we get to hopefully, you know, turn 10-ish, and take advantage of it. As long as they don't have a second Test of Strength, we should be okay. I mean, turn 10, double Roach is 7, plus 3 fairies, you know, initially is going to be absolutely crazy. Not so lucky though, Underworld Watchman. Ruining my hopes and dreams once again. But that lucky shot, all we needed was one of those to hit for our Roaches to actually be usable. So we get 3 damage there. I probably should have Natured Guidance instead of playing that Roach because I would have got more value out of it. But we still have more than enough to actually do lethal. Once I thought about it, I was like, oh, maybe I should have Nature's Guidance first, just so I could get the extra value, but it didn't make much difference in the end. Okay, and our final match here is against Sword. One of the more, I would say, aggressive classes for the most part. And for this deck, I do okay in this match, but I could definitely see where I would struggle. Especially if they play a lot of cards at once, it can be hard to get rid of all of them effectively without burning out all your actual damage.
I'll lead the charge.
So my biggest advantage is Sylvian Justice is a really good card against Sword and Blood, along with Airbound Barrage. It does a really nice job at just getting rid of things. Plus, once you usually burn out Sword's hand or Blood's hand, you can normally take the game from there, which is reasonably easy to do. So even if you have to focus on being more control orientated over being aggressive, you can usually burn them out before you will, especially when you've got Roach combos. I do decide to get rid of the Hedgehog just because I don't want to have to deal with it. A 1/3 is much easier to deal with than a Hedgehog. And perfectly, they play Frog, of all things to play. Especially when you've got Elf Twin's Assault. Like, I mean, we're going to get crazy damage no matter what they play now. Of course, Vanguard, and a second frog. This is where you really just want to concede. I mean, double elf twins killing your frogs? Ugh. I know I wouldn't want to be playing against that. Plus, we have got plenty of follow-ups for this, you know, Fortune Hunter, Hector. Just, we have so many good cards right now. And they've just burned their entire hand on damage.
You're done for.
So as long as we clear this, we can pretty much steamroll them from here. Especially with Aaron coming out turn 8.
On the warfield.
Which probably won't get that far, but that's the reality of it.
You're done for.
So Hector dominates this board pretty nicely. The Angelic Snipe killing off the 2-1.
My mission
I
is
should have
complete.
foreseen this.
And they concede. Pretty quick match. And so that rounds up this deck. There isn't anything I really want to say about it. You may as well enjoy it while you can, otherwise it won't really be playable until the Unlimited format, which is going to really shake things up. So hopefully you guys look forward to that. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find the deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.